Hi, this is the James. Today I want to discuss a topic that is quite disturbing, and nobody else seems to be addressing it, at least not the big picture. The war in Ukraine is rife with nuclear shenanigans, and it's just a matter of time before people are nuked and World War III will begin soon after. Let me tell you why I think this. Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th of 2022. The same day, they took control of the Chernobyl facility. People still work there, monitoring radiation levels and guarding it. The Ukrainians let it go pretty quick, though they shelled it later. Also in the first days of the war, the Russians airdropped onto the Kiev airport, where a lengthy battle ensued. They won the battle, and to the surprise of all the analysts, did not invade the city at all. They withdrew from the area. Why bother with this one airport battle? Remember that a mere 5 days before the invasion, Ukraine's president made a speech at the Munich Security Conference, declaring their intention to withdraw from the Budapest memorandum. This accord was a promise to never seek nuclear weaponry. This was the final straw for Russia and initiated the war. Note I use the word war as it is a real war. The Russian government calls it a special military operation because they do not want to deal with the legalities of declaring war, drafts, mass mobilizations, etc. Anyway, if they wanted to stop Ukraine from developing or obtaining nukes, the first thing they should do is destroy Ukraine's only aircraft large enough to carry one into Russia, the AN-225. And they did. After the battle was over, it was shown to be destroyed by the fighting. Mission accomplished, Russia left the area to fight the rest of the war. Also recall that the UK was greatly suspected of actively aiding Ukraine in making their own nuclear bomb. This was facilitated by the International Atomic Energy Agency, its inspectors having been bribed for years to keep quiet about nuclear materials being moved off-site for unknown reasons. It all came out soon after the war started. It was telling how in the very first days of the conflict, there was also an emphasis on the south areas, and Russia obsessively stormed certain areas including the massive underground complex below a steel mill in Mariupol. Why was this so important? They seemed to think something very important was hidden there, like maybe a nuclear bomb. These facts are never mentioned in the mainstream media, who acts like it is a mystery why Russia invaded. It's not hard to look up though, so please do. Even more interesting is the Russian military campaign quickly took the southeast area of Ukraine, capturing the town of Energodar and its nearby nuclear power plant called the Zaporozhye facility. Here's a couple pictures of it. Note it has 6 reactors. It's the largest nuclear power plant in all of Europe. This was on March 4th of last year. Officially, they took permanent control of it on November 6th. So, the Ukrainians started shelling the facility with artillery and sending kamikaze drones into it around August 5th. If they can't have it, no one will, and damn the consequences of attacking 6 nuclear reactors. The Western media kept saying that the containment domes were too thick to be destroyed by artillery, but never talked about the unprotected cooling ponds and pipes, power supplies essential to its safe operations, and its 11,000 employees, some of which have been killed by these attacks. Obviously, Ukraine's military wanted to initiate a meltdown and blame Russia for it somehow. This is where the utter nonsense started. They insisted they were not shelling the facility, but Russia is shelling it itself, shooting artillery from the area it held, which then magically turned around in midair and looped back to hit the plant. These lies went on for quite some time, until UN inspectors visited and seen the direction the shells were coming from. They eventually left, with nary a word about what is really going on there. The shelling continues to this day. The last time as of the date of this video was on May 19th of 2023. By now, they have destroyed so much cooling capacity and power supply to the plant, the Russians have had to put all 6 reactors into standby mode, and are warning of imminent meltdown if it doesn't stop. Enter the referendums. They were to determine if the people of 4 regions wanted to become part of Russia or remain Ukrainian. These public voting events lasted 5 days, from September 23 to 27. Now enter the Americans. On September 25th, they suddenly started threatening Russia to wit, if you use nuclear weapons in Ukraine, we will respond. We will enter with a massive conventional intervention. We will not allow it. You better not use a nuke, etc. Ad nauseum. This mantra was repeated over and over, and still is, despite Russia's detailed explanations of how absurd this all is. They never said they were going to do that, and it is not in accordance with their nuclear doctrine. So why is America saying this? One reason is they want people to think that Russia is losing so bad that they are extremely desperate militarily and have no other way of winning except to use nukes. Of course, this is nonsense. But if you only follow Western mainstream media, you don't know that. All you think you know is that Russian troops are rioting against their commanders, fighting with shovels and rusty shells, and of course bombing cities willy-nilly. But we won't go down that path in this video. However, you may want to check out a site called War on Fakes. There is another much more insidious reason America keeps saying this. Why? Let me explain. On April 29th of this year, they decided to set up radiation detectors all over Ukraine, supposedly to monitor the situation. You see, they aren't sure they would notice if Russia nuked Ukraine, so they need these sensitive monitors all over. Right. Besides the satellites and spy planes, not to mention the citizens of Ukraine recording every single explosion of any sort and posting it all over Telegram, no one would notice without these radiation detectors. So they claim. Pretty ludicrous, huh? It seems obvious to me that a false flag was being set up. They wanted their big excuse to jump in and enter World War III with Russia. Yes, there really is a cabal of evil people that have held high positions in the American government through several presidencies, and they want war with Russia. They are called the neocons. Now, Russia is in a war and they just can't stand it. They want to jump in so bad they can taste it. After all, America has a long history of creating false flag events. Look that up. So here, we can predict that America was setting them up for a nuclear attack within Ukraine, which would be blamed on Russia. All they had to do was launch a nuclear-tipped cruise missile from Romania or Poland. But wait, something derailed the plan. Those obedient lapdogs, the British government, decided to send an undisclosed, very large quantity of depleted uranium, mostly tank shells, to the Ukrainian army. Why? Because Russia warned the West not to. You see, the West will cross any red line they are warned not to, just to see what Putin will do. Meanwhile, Russia has been catching a lot of flack for not blowing up a certain tunnel from Poland nor 4 main bridges that cross the Dnieper River. These routes are how the West openly supplies Ukraine with military equipment to fight Russia with. Why not stop it? One of several reasons is that they are watching with their own spy satellites and seeing where it's going. They know all the storage sites and bomb them periodically as they fill up, right before being shipped onto the fronts. Most is destroyed, very little gets through. The largest one of these was near a town called Khmelnytskyi. It was huge, about the area of a small city. They hit it with something, one missile of some sort. Many are saying it was a hypersonic cruise missile called the Kinjal or Dagger. However, I believe they used the Zircon or Zyklon. I've seen it spelled both ways many times. Look into that scary weapon sometime. Whatever they used, it blew up the ammo dump at Khmelnytskyi like a nuke. It was not nuclear, but you really should see the mile-high fireball explosion that occurred. Not to mention a secondary explosion that was also huge. There are videos of it. I'll link to one in the description. So now, all of that uranium, depleted or no, has been exploded and burned, creating a radioactive dust cloud. Due to the prevailing winds, all of this went straight to the major Ukrainian city of Lvov, and then right on to Poland. The radiation detectors there then magically went offline. How does this tie into an imminent nuclear false flag attack in Ukraine by America? Well, it ruined the plan. Now all those detectors are picking up the dust from the ammo dump attack in Khmelnytskyi. Their excuse is not provable now, and they can't say their detectors indicate this was a Russian nuke. In fact, they will indicate American weapons, which is where the British got them in the first place. Oh, what a mess for Europe. Now large areas will end up like Serbia and Iraq, with skyrocketing cancer rates and birth defects galore. So how will they redo this evil plan to nuke the Ukes? It's anyone's guess, but you can be sure they are working on it. Don't forget, the Zaporozhye facility is just one nuclear power plant with 6 reactors. There are 9 other live reactors in 3 other locations that Ukraine still has complete control over, and one can only imagine what they are doing in them. Russia is absolutely winning this war, and the neocons are desperate to do anything to change this fact. All they can do is nuke someone, something, anywhere, and then blame Russia, of course. Wait for it. Scary times, my friends. I hope you found this disturbing. So have a nice day.